Hi Nick, this is Badger. This video is in reference to a thread on cncclub.ru in the English forum entitled Custom Tool Definition. It has to do with wanting to take a rug making process and make it a little bit more automated with CNC. This is the first rug I did, and it's about 60 by 75 centimeters. It's done in a wool heavyweight yarn that's made by a little shop in New Mexico. Okay. The process that I use is called rug punching. It could also be called rug tufting. The results are identical to what you would get with rug hooking. They all basically have to do with different ways that you're manipulating the yarn in the backing. The backing is on a linen. It's a fairly coarse open weave, and in my case I'm working from the back, pushing it through, and I'll show you that a little bit of that later. You can do any pattern you want. It's kind of like an Etch-a-Sketch. Here we're doing kind of a loopy pattern around here to make this rounded end. Over here it's tapered to where there's like one row of stitches here. Second row starts, making it a little bit wider. You know, here's a third row, and then we start getting down into, there are actually some loops looping around to make a wider area. Very versatile method. You can do pretty much any design you want. Okay, you may be able to see some of the linen showing through between the stitches on the back. That's not really an issue, because when you flip it over, the front of the pile is so flexible that it just kind of fills in. So a certain amount of accuracy isn't really needed because the surface heals itself more or less. This is the actual tool that's used for doing it by hand, the Oxford punch needle. It's made in the United States. It's basically this little piece of wood with a metal needle on the end of it. Okay, this is a close-up of the actual needle. It's a little formed sheet metal thing. This is the side the thread comes out of. It's got a little point on it. All works by varying degrees of friction between the yarn and the backing linen fabric. Okay, to thread it, I have a little piece of wire taped to a color-coordinated pencil. Stick the wire loop through there. Put the yarn in, pulls it out, so it pulls it out through the eye. Then you just pull the yarn back through the center hole of it. You might need to hang on to it, give it a little tension, and it pops in there. So now you have the yarn pulling out of the hole on the back, and when it feeds, it's going to feed in that direction. That's why the A rotation is real necessary. Okay, this is a close-up of the linen fabric. Might be a little bit hard to see, but it's an open weave. You know, the threads are about maybe 2 millimeters apart. Normally, when I'm making a rug, I'm going to skip 2 threads. So it's going to be every other hole, which makes the stitches about 4 millimeters long. The spacing between the rows is about the same, about 4 millimeters. So pretty much punching on a 4x4 millimeter grid. Okay, I'm going to try to demonstrate this as the G-code is written for it now using basically the tangent knife from the tool library. We're going to come in at the travel Z distance, find our XY location, drop down to our working height, make our first insertion with the MO8 command. Then if we need to change direction, we're going to change our A direction so that it pulls out the back of it, travel to our next XY location, go down, make any A-axis correction we need to, come up, next location, down, A correction, up, travel, down, up, travel, down, you know, whatever direction we need to go. But I'm trying to make my rotation on the A-axis when I am in the fabric. That helps maintain the tension on the yarn in a correct manner. The yarn is just loosely held in there. If anything goes wrong, it can just pop back out. What happens at the end is that I'd apply a glue, some kind of adhesive over the loops to glue them in place so they don't pull out as much. The good thing is that they don't pull out from the other side, the correct side, nearly as much. So let me do some, and then I'll show you what it looks like on the other side. Okay, this is the flip side. This is the side you would see. You know, I did maybe 40 stitches in about 2 minutes. And they're actually little loops. It's kind of hard to see. Maybe you might be able to see them on the end here. But they do, from this side, they don't pull out as easily as they do from the side that you punch from. If you do apply some force, you can get one to pull in, and what happens is it pulls the other ones down. It's kind of a downside of the process, but like I say, putting adhesive on the back kind of locks them all into place. Okay, this is kind of a step between the manual punch needle and the CNC machine. It's my little pneumatic gun. It's got the Oxford punch needle incorporated in this sliding mechanism, and then it's got a single acting spring return air cylinder on there. So you have a lot of control by adjusting the air pressure and the flow control. You can adjust how fast the needle goes down. This is set at a really slow manual speed. The sliding mechanism is made out of some 80-20 single slot, and then it has, I think these are called top bearing plates. It's this little extruded piece of high density polyethylene that slides in there and creates a little linear slide. These have a little bit of play to them in all directions, so they may not be really good for some things, but for the punch needle, it's actually nice to have some play in it so that it can find the holes between the threads in the fabric. It helps it enter and exit, so what may be seen as a problem for somebody is actually a benefit for what I'm doing. Okay, so with the pneumatic rug punch, what's going to happen is it's going to come in at the Z height, the safe travel distance, drop down to the working height. It's going to actually be on an air spring to accommodate for the stretch of the fabric. And then we're going to do the MO8, do any A change, MO9, next XY, MO8, A rotation, MO9, next XY, repeat, 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 repeat. If I can get that kind of results with CNC movement and control, make my day happy. Thanks for all your help, Nick. I hope this helps explain some of the parameters that I'm working with. If not, we'll keep chatting. But again, thanks so very much for all your help.